Phil Spencer did that interview with IGN, with Ryan McCaffrey, and there was the quote that came out: "You are going to see more of our games on more platforms, and we just see that as a benefit to the franchises that we're building." Which just, I saw some people negatively reacting to it, but I think it's actually just a very blunt statement that puts forward kind of what has already been known, expected at this point. And it's just, yeah, they are indeed, I think, looking to become the world's biggest games publisher, or one of them. They are trying to become that giant, and you don't become that giant by only releasing your games on the least successful of the three current like console platforms. They are targeting everything, I think, and it makes sense. I think there will still be exclusives for Xbox. I think they do want to keep fans there happy, but clearly their focus is on, making games that they can sell to consumers on any platform. This is, and really, it just feels like a continuation. I know it goes against what the console wars have kind of always focused on, but this is a continuation of what they were doing with the PC to begin with, I think, where it's like, just get the game in more places. It was on PC, it was on the streaming, they get the subscription services, now you can play it on these other consoles as well. Like if they'd love people subscribing to Game Pass and playing on their Xbox, but I'm sure they'd also be very happy if a PlayStation person goes out and buys a $70 copy of one of their games, right? There's still money to be earned there. And I don't blame them for going in on that at this point. And I think with the cost of development, I think Nintendo is a company that has these types of costs very well under control. And I don't think they actually need to go multi-platform anytime soon. But I think even Sony's starting to feel the heat. I don't think they necessarily need to release on Xbox, because it probably wouldn't move the needle much for them there, given the console sales. But getting on PC, they're putting the Horizon Lego game on Switch. I think we're just going to see more and more of these types of decisions coming forward. PC obviously being a central pillar of any strategy from them, I would say. So it's just, this is just the cost of games becoming this expensive and requiring this much time to make. It's not like it used to be. Like in the PS2 era, which was that perfect balance where games were coming out often enough. They were being done in like 12, 18 months. And then, you move on to the next one. There was no like after game support, and the budgets were still reasonable enough that you could just sell on the one platform and be fine. I just don't think that's that viable anymore. And Xbox knows it. This is the kind of strategy they need to take. So what do you guys think? I mean, Alex, you're shaking your head, I think, in agreement, but maybe not.
I'm 100% in agreement. I also think the hardware being so similar nowadays, everything based on just what the PC is doing. Like, why wouldn't you release it where there's potential customers you wouldn't have captured otherwise? I feel like that is a really big thing, and it's just going to keep getting most likely closer together to a certain degree there. So yeah, I think it also makes tons of sense. And for the games that haven't been announced yet as coming to PlayStation 5 from the Xbox side of things, we don't obviously have Fable there. We don't have Starfield there. There's other games that were announced too. Perfect Dark. I'm curious because with like Call of Duty and Doom, they already had established games. That franchise was already on that box. I'm curious to see what they do then with new or long dormant IPs. I'm curious to see what happens with Perfect Dark. Curious to see what with Starfield over time, and Indiana Jones too is another one where that's technically like a new type of game from the studio. Do they want to preserve this exclusivity status? Is it worth it? Indiana Jones is so recognizable.
Would Lucasfilm be okay with it?
I don't know what they're
I guess technically they might, depending on the sales. Like obviously Marvel has that agreement for Spider-Man with Sony, right? So like
right, exactly.
But it's still a smaller addressable base if it's just Xbox and PC. So I could see them wanting that PlayStation market.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm curious what the future brings, but I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically fine with it. There was an interesting little quote from Phil Spencer where he basically said to our, Xbox customers, you're going to be able to buy or subscribe to the games of your choice, and they'll also be on other platforms. That's basically the essence of what he had said in an IGN interview, I believe. And that quote doesn't include a carve out for timed exclusivity, which is sort of what we've been getting so far. We presume that many of these games will come to other platforms, but they'll come to Xbox first. Maybe that will change at some point in the future. Who knows? I'm not really too opposed to it either way. I think it's a little bit unfortunate if Xbox is an exclusive hardware platform is no longer the case, just because I like exclusives. I think exclusives are fun. But at the same time, I mean, I'm in a privileged position where I basically own everything and I'll play anything on anywhere, that I want to. I understand the appeal and the obvious utility of the titles existing on PlayStation as well.
And I think the point Alex made about the hardware being so comparable at this point really shifts the needle. Like, if you go back, I use that PS2 example. If you were an Xbox studio really taking advantage of what the Xbox could do, porting that game to a PS2 wouldn't have been easy, right? Like, there's things you just cannot do on that hardware that the Xbox could do. So there was actually like a competitive advantage to shipping on specific platforms because it meant you could leverage key features. It's really not the case anymore. I mean, Xbox Series X and PS5 they may as well be the same piece of hardware. Like, there are some differences, but they're so minor. It's basically the same. So like, yeah, it's a completely different ball game in terms of like the cost of porting and actually getting it running on that other hardware, not like it was before. Right. So again, that all kind of makes sense. I really don't think Xbox is going away anytime soon as a hardware platform. I do think that they've expressed their plans. I do think we will see something with the handheld going forward, and I think if they do what we think they might do right, they could open up the market and sort of approach it from a different angle than what Sony and Nintendo can do, and they might be able to find an audience there. Because I think just right now they've traditionally tried to play by the same rules as Sony and Nintendo. But it's a different company, Microsoft is, so they actually can leverage things like Windows to do some unique stuff, I think, in terms of how they build out their next platform. And hey, isn't that what Bill wanted back in the day when they first pitched Xbox? Like, it should just run Windows, and maybe we'll get an Xbox port of Microsoft Office.
Yeah, a Direct Xbox.
That'd be sick.
Oh, Direct Xbox.
Just name the next one Direct Xbox.
Yeah, just
do it, Phil.
Go all the way.